I want the jury to know that this is not, I believe what has been presented is not my son.
Let me out!
I don't know why.
Everything discussed in this video is alleged, speculative, and based on opinions formed from publicly discussed information surrounding this case. None of these claims have been proven beyond a reasonable doubt in the court of law, and its content is intended strictly for commentary, entertainment, and discussion purposes. Question: you ever met, saw, or heard of someone repeatedly blessed with opportunities? Someone with the world of potential? Someone who seemingly had all the options of privileged life? And wondered, how did they end up there? Well, sometimes life doesn't change all at once. Sometimes it changes through a series of decisions that all come down to one big moment, one conversation, one ride, one choice, one mission. I need all the networkers in the Rumor Nation to lock in, because today we're discussing Sean Gathright. And Sean's story presents a difficult conversation because according to evidence and testimony during trial, Sean wasn't portrayed as the central mastermind in prosecutors' narrative. But he also wasn't presented as a minor participant standing on the sidelines. According to the state's presentation of events, Sean allegedly played a significant role in the demise of Charles Jones, aka Julio Foolio. Let's begin with the timeline prosecutors built. June 22nd, 2024. Sean's residence became a meeting point. Prosecutors presented surveillance footage which they argued Sean and Isaiah Chance were loading his Chevy Impala with weapons and ammunition concealed inside duffel bags.
This is a camera that is in Sean Gathright's front door, or kind of looking over the driveway. Is that correct?
This one is the garage driveway camera, and then there's another one that's a front door camera.
Same Chevy Impala seen at the Home to Suites?
Correct.
Same Chevy Impala seen at Teasers?
Correct.
Same Chevy Impala seen at Truth 18?
Correct.
The two locations the victim was at on June 23rd of 2024 before he died?
Yes, ma'am.
Does he appear to be holding heavy bags?
Yes.
You taking note of what they are carrying in their hands?
Yes.
Are there similar items being carried out of the Airbnb after the homicide?
Yes.
Again, none of that was seen being brought into the Airbnb before the homicide.
Sustain is deleting.
RUMORNATI up. Alright, cool.
Network.
Investigators used these movements to begin constructing the timeline. Then, prosecutors introduced another major piece of their case: text messages.
94C2, is this the text message that was recovered, or this text message exchange that was recovered from Sean Gathright's account?
Correct.
Were you able to ascertain through your review of the device and the media itself the relationship between Sean Gathright and an individual by the name of Kyla Enright?
Yes.
What was the nature of that relationship?
Sean Gathright and Kyla Enright appeared to be romantically involved with each other.
And what's the relationship to Nevaeh Gathright?
Kyla Enright, Sean Gathright's girlfriend, is good friends with Sean Gathright's sister, Nevaeh Gathright. Starting at 1:32 a.m. on the early morning hours of Sunday the 23rd, while the other three are at McDonald's, Sean Gathright's device texts Kyla Enright's device saying, "I need you to text Fat Boy. I need y'all to text Fat Boy." Kyla responds, "About what?"
Does Mr. Gathright respond?
Yes, he says, "Hey sis, I need you to text Fat Boy and tell him you're trying to pull up and trying to see him tonight."
Is there a response as well to his messages about texting Fat Boy?
Yes.
What is that?
He know I'm gone. I've been FaceTiming him while I'm out.
Does Mr. Gathright send additional messages, and what were they?
Yes, he says he's in Tampa right now. Bruh, make it seem like you don't know that he's there. He's at a B&B with 6. Be like, "Where you at? I want to pull up. I'm drunk and trying to..."
Does Kyla, or the title Kyla, respond?
Sean Gathright says, "No, I'm in Tampa. I'm trying to see where his B&B is at." Kyla then responds, "Whose B&B?" And then Sean Gathright responds, 6.
Throughout the course of your investigation, who was identified as 6?
The victim, Charles Jones.
Does Kyla send another message, and does Sean Gathright respond?
"Bruh, make it like you don't know it." And then Kyla responds, "Fat Boy's going to Beezer's tonight," or some shit.
Sean was allegedly communicating with either his sister or a woman he had previously dated, asking them to reach out to an individual known as Fat Boy. Prosecutors further alleged that whoever Sean was communicating with was being used to help establish contact and obtain information. The state argued these communications were intended to determine the location. And that became another important piece of the sequence they were presenting to the jurors. Investigators weren't presenting isolated moments. They were showing what they argued was a chain of events. One action leading into another, one movement leading into the next, all eventually leading to the home to suites and the death of Julio Foolio. And this is where technology became extremely important, because besides the video footage from the hotel, Tesla security cameras became critical in helping investigators reconstruct this event. Then, once again, phone data comes into play.
And again, you see some cell phone mapping occurring down there in the lower left corner. I'm going to talk to you again about that in a few minutes. I'm going to go through that with you. But you can see Lake Eola, which is in downtown Orlando, and that first white box in the middle of the screen. Just below that, you see Church Street. He's being picked up. His phone he is at Parlay nightclub in Orlando.
Sean's phone allegedly placed him within the area surrounding the scene. And when prosecutors began placing surveillance footage, phone records, vehicle movements, and communication side by side, their narrative became more complete. Not because one piece stood by itself, but because investigators argued that multiple pieces of evidence supported one another. Prosecutors later alleged additional movements involving Sean's vehicle after the shooting, including movements of bag and travel patterns they used as additional pieces to the puzzle.
All of them go back to Jacksonville except Sean Gathright. Mr. Gathright, again, picked up on a license plate reader. This time, well, this is the other one we looked at earlier where he's coming. But you can see now he's being picked up on the 23rd at 4:13 hours, eastbound I-4. He is going out I-4 to the east. And then you see below that, at 4:25 hours, southbound Florida 595 at C. Fred Jones Parkway in Polk County. He is traveling to his grandmother's house in Riverdale. Here's Mr. Gathright. He has parked the Chevy Impala and he's walking inside. He's wiping the car down and he ends up switching cars. He drives the 4Runner to Orlando and then back to Jacksonville.
Then social media became a factor as well.
And he takes this picture of Don Julio and posts it. You'll also see some other images from that evening. He is there with other people and appears to be celebrating. This would be the night of the actual murder, and then it goes into the early morning hours of the 24th.
Increasingly today, social media becomes something investigators and prosecutors examine closely, because what's posted for one audience can eventually be viewed by another, a task force, or a jury. Now here's the question I keep coming back to. Not whether Sean participated, the jury ultimately answered that question. What I'm asking is, how does someone described as intelligent, with opportunity, someone who was well-traveled, someone not heavily connected to gang culture, end up here?
Let me out!
Sit in that chair.
That's what the evidence showed us, correct? You were sitting here watching that, correct? The evidence that came in over the last several weeks?
I was right there.
Yeah. And you want to take accountability now, correct? You want to take accountability now that this jury has found you guilty, correct?
Yes, sir.
Was it loyalty? Was it influence? Was it acceptance? Or was it something the younger generation cherishes that money can't buy? Did Sean Gathright involve himself, or might I say, sacrificed himself for fame? Hear me out. Give me a second to explain. It is true that Sean has been sentenced. His momentary decision, few hours in this case, is going to cause him to spend the rest of his life in prison. But what if Shooter Sean, the good suburban kid that moved around and never really fit in, never really established a reputation outside of being a good kid, was willing to take the life of a famous rapper to get his name in the lights, to get the respect he wanted, to get the clout? It was said Sean was a fan of FaZe Clan and even allegedly had ambitions to join, but to no avail. He was an undiscovered rapper getting no attention. He was an affiliate who was clearly not respected, as we heard from Davion Murphy's interrogation. He documented his travels online, but hadn't drawn enough attention to be a career content creator. He was a cameraman who probably got behind the lens because he wasn't getting recognized in front of it. And that camera could be a tool to get him around the crowd he always wanted to be a part of. Sean Gathright would have done literally anything for clout. Some people don't lose their future because opportunity wasn't available. Some people lose their future by following someone else's path. Sean Gathright has been sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole. But the story did not completely stop after sentencing, which further supports the idea that Sean, number 5 Gathright, was willing to pay the ultimate price to attain fame. Following the trial, attention shifted towards Sean's online presence.
What's up, everybody? It's Sean. I'm just reaching out to y'all, just to give y'all a quick update about my situation. Right now, they got me in confinement. It's just a protocol thing after Friday, but I should be out of here soon. And reaching back out to everybody. I've seen, I've heard that a lot of y'all have been reaching out to my Instagram page at the official Sean G. This is my real page. This is the page that I will be, communicating to the outside world from, through my management team and stuff like that. I really appreciate all the messages and, all the comments and the likes and the shares and the donations. It means more than y'all can understand. Like, it truly means a lot in a difficult time like this. We all know that God has the last word, and I just really appreciate y'all for seeing me in a different light. Y'all will be hearing from me soon. Like I said, I just have to get out of confinement, take a couple days, but I appreciate y'all. I love every single one of y'all, and yeah, that's it.
He had been active on social media pages thanking people for supporting him and even had a fundraiser circulating with a goal of 100,000 allegedly. But why? What for? What does this mean? Well, someone on Sean's side put a message out to clear up any misunderstandings, stating that the fundraiser was for the family and everything that they were going to endure dealing with the circumstances. Still, the fundraiser became another point of public discussion in the case that has repeatedly extended beyond the courtroom itself. But because even after a verdict is delivered, sometimes stories continue unfolding. And for many people watching this case, that became another moment where we stopped and asked ourselves, wait, what the is going on? Drop your thoughts below. Appreciate all the networkers in the Rumor Nation for locking in and rocking out. Let's aggravate the algorithm. And like my bro say, I reserve the right to be wrong. And like I say, I identify as a multimillionaire. They got to give us a cash register if they got a bathroom. Other than that, this is the RUMORNATI Network. We out of here. Let's go.
I don't know why